Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In My Feelings, a safe space to talk all things NBA. I am Big Waz, and I'm joined by a very special guest today, Larry himself, the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Obviously, you guys know this is a trophy given to every single NBA champion. Larry right now is on an incredible tour. Larry just did F1, did the Tom Brady roast, met the fellow Queens legend Ja Rule himself.
What would I be without my Larry? Mwah.
Larry is all over the place, guys. And you could be expecting the trophy to pop up all kinds of places in anticipation of the NBA Finals, which are starting on June 6th. I can't wait. I myself think it's looking like Ant Edwards and Rudy Gobert are going to be holding this thing at the end of the season. But wow, I can't believe I'm touching this. Shouts to Larry. All right, folks, let's now get into Factor Feelings. Factor Feelings, folks. Anthony Edwards is now at the upper echelon of the NBA. I'm going to go ahead and say that's a fact. I think this whole season, Ant Edwards definitely has taken a step in that right direction. But before the playoffs, there were moments where you felt like he was kind of forcing it. He didn't have the mental part of the game. Everybody understands that, players' athletic peak is going in a certain direction, as well as their mental peak. When both peaks meet, a la LeBron in 2012 and 2013, Jordan in 1991, Kobe even in 2001, I would say. That's when you see the very best of those players. And I think before the playoffs started, you could make the argument that he hadn't really mastered so much of the mental part of the game. But boy, the way he's been dissecting the Denver Nuggets, and I know Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for him. He's not as big or strong as Ant Edwards, but the patience with which he's dissecting these guys, when they do send help, put, their foot in the lane to dig down on a potential drive, he's spraying that thing out fast. As soon as he gets a catch, that's a catch and shoot opportunity, he's not putting it on the ground and dribbling it. He's firing that thing up. I think the mental part is starting to crest now, guys. Look, I thought he was behind the Bookers, behind the Tatums, certainly behind the Lukas and the SGAs coming into this thing. But I'll be damned if he hasn't looked as good, if not better than Booker, if not better than Tatum. God bless the Celtics. They've crushed the people in front of them. But I don't think we could say they've played the level of competition that the Wolves have so far, and to go undefeated and to dominate literally every single game. They've crushed their opponent every single night. There was a game very early on in the season where the Timberwolves played the Celtics, and the Timberwolves beat them. And at the end of the game, my man John Krasinski of The Athletic, the best Wolves writer in the world, he asked Ant about the ending of that game.
What do you think it says about your guys' collective defense to be able to hold them the way that you guys did?
You might think I'm trying to be funny, but Jaden McDaniels, I'm not really trying to be funny. I mean, show me a clip where he got scored on, in a one-on-one situation. They ISO'd him maybe 10 times in the fourth, and nobody scored on him. So he was the reason we won that game. And he hit 3-4 big shots in the fourth, 2 in overtime. We don't win that game if he's not playing.
Ant had a nice little game. He scored some buckets. He did some things. But what he wanted to highlight was him and Jaden McDaniels guarding Tatum, guarding Brown, in isolation, on an island, in clutch possessions, and getting the better of them. That's what he wanted to highlight at the end of the game. And I cataloged that as a mental note. Man, for a kid this young to understand that, what's going to take his team to the stratosphere is him giving 110% on every freaking possession on defense, while he's already a guy capable of dropping 30 a night on guys. We don't typically see that at his age. Post-game 2, he goes out of his way to talk about McDaniels again. He's like, this guy might have had 5 points in the last 2 games. This guy doesn't get plays called for him. This guy's not getting possession after possession. He's not doing the fun stuff, essentially, is what he's saying. And he's giving us everything he has on defense. And that's a big reason why we're winning. Him going out of his way to point that out in his press conference when everybody wants to throw the praise at him. I'm just blown away by this kid, man. I'm sorry. What I've seen these past 6 games, I'm putting this guy at the top, man. I'm not saying he's better than Luka already, or he's better than SGA. These guys are finishing in the top 3 of MVP this year, and deservedly so. But boy, is he knocking on their door in a way that I did not anticipate this postseason. And lastly, I want to give a big shout out to Tim Connolly. The Rudy trade was not universally praised. The most knowing skepticism, in my opinion, was this idea that Rudy being so close to the other side of his peak and Ant being so early in his development, it's like, yo, by the time that Rudy's deal is up, you know, will you have even been able to maximize Ant reaching his peak? And I think Tim Connolly is being proven right now that he was quite prescient. That no, Anthony Edwards is ready right now to be on a veteran-laden, serious championship team. And boy, I'm blown away, man. Anthony Edwards is one of those guys. This man has arrived. All right, guys, let's just get into a vibe check, man. I have to check in on the King of New York, Jalen Brunson. Since Game 3 of the first round series against the Sixers, this guy has been on a complete other level. It's ridiculous. And when you consider the talent depletion on the Knicks, doing this without their second best player, Mitchell Robinson going down too, Bogdanovich going down, the other team knowing exactly the play that Tibbs is going to call, aka give it to Jalen and figure the rest out, and him still doing this, it's insane. There's just no other way to put this. Like, I know we don't want to get hyperbolic about him already being the greatest Knick ever or blah, 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 blah. But like, man, I love Allen Houston. I love Sprewell. I love Camby. Obviously, I love Patrick Ewing. I love what Melo did for the Knicks. But man, this stretch right now, and these numbers I'm getting according to my brother Fred Katz, who, you know, wrote a dope write-up on Jalen Brunson and what he's doing right now in The Athletic. Go check that out. Jalen Brunson has now dropped 40 straight points in 4 consecutive playoff games. And we're recording this before Game 2. The only other people to do this, Jerry West, who did it 6 straight times, Michael Jordan, who also did it 4, and the legendary Bernard King, another Knicks legend. Jalen Brunson is averaging 36 points per game and 8.6 assists per game. He's leading the NBA playoffs in points per game. 36 points a game. This is insane. This man is 6 feet tall. They're throwing 6'8" long-limbed athletes at him. He's never playing against a guy that's his size or his height, and he's getting the better of them. It's just nuts. Game 1 against the Pacers, he's 43 points on 26 shooting attempts, makes every single one of his 14 free throws. Like, I'm at a loss for words for what this guy's doing, and the city is absolutely falling in love with this guy, and rightfully so, and the story of how he got here. The fact that this is Rick Brunson's kid, for people who don't know about Rick Brunson's career, this guy was a career backup. On the Knicks, he was the 3rd-string point guard behind Charlie Ward and Chris Childs, Bakersfield's own. Shouts to producer Victoria in the house. Gritty NBA player, right? Hard hat, blue collar guy. And for his kid to be on this team, Brunson's on the staff, to be creating these moments in the Garden for Knicks fans, man, this is something special. I will not soon forget this moment. And as sad as it is, as crazy as it sounds, this is the best Knicks stretch of basketball since Linsanity, which was a regular season phenomenon, which admittedly I was completely caught up in. I was living in New York at the time. I was going to bars to watch regular season games against Jose Calderon and the Toronto Raptors in the middle of this, okay? This is the biggest thing since, and it's obviously more legitimate. It's in the postseason, man. For a fan base that's been so starved of postseason success, that Jalen Brunson is delivering this way is just, it's remarkable, man. And I can't say enough about the guy. It's just crazy. Man, I just wanted to take the time to talk about some of the unfortunate injuries in the playoffs this year that are affecting pretty much damn near every single series. I think Luka is pretty hobbled. It's pretty obvious that the knee is giving him some trouble. Jamal Murray obviously seems pretty limited on Denver. Kristaps Porzingis is out with the calf. The Bucks got their asses rolled because Giannis was out. This is just what the playoffs are. It's a war of attrition. I no longer see this as detrimental to the quality. This is just what it is. Like, at the end of the year, having your guys ready to suit up is going to be probably one of the ultimate advantages. And that's just where we are. I'm not going to beat this drum about shortening the season. I've been saying this thing for too long. It's been years of me crying about this. It is what it is at this point. But man, folks just gotta understand that this is how it goes, y'all. You gotta have your guys. There's no excuses. Play like a champion, man. And those young legs, those young boys that are fresh and ready, they're gonna have the advantage going forward here. I'm watching these injuries just like the rest of you guys, but this is what the NBA playoffs are. It's a war of attrition. You need your guys in the long run for the long haul, and that's just how it goes. All right, folks, that was our show for today. Make sure you subscribe to the Ringer NBA's YouTube page. Make sure you hit the like button on this video so that YouTube get us in that good old algorithm. And make sure you hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time we drop a new episode of In My Feelings. I will see you guys next week. Peace.